Right guys and girls, Mark Crossfield here. Fun video today. I have a set of the new Mizuno blade, Mizuno Pro 221 I think it is. Yeah, 221 numbers on them, get me a little confused at the start. And now I've managed to get myself a set of TP9s Mizuno, and I've even got here, look at that bad boy, a 1-iron. So TP9s, I played this Mizuno iron. This was maybe one of my favorite all-time irons. Just how different of modern blades got to the old classic blades. And we're going to do a fun game at the end as well after showing you some data, and I feel like this 1-iron might need to be included in that game. So to kick us off, we're going to hit a 150, 155 yard shot. The two irons here is really interesting actually. The old TP9, the head almost looks slightly bigger. It's certainly higher in the toe, higher up here in the 9, where in the old one, or the new one, they're shaving it off. And the old one is definitely thinner on top and a little bit chunkier in the new, but I wouldn't call this chunky in any way. Down by the ball, if anything, the TP9 looks like it's got a little bit more offset purely. So in the modern one here, they just calm the kink down. So even though the measured offset might be very close, I don't actually know what it is. In the comments down below, let me know if you know what it is. This kink here makes it look more of an offset feel, but it might not actually be. So TP9s was one of my favorite sets of irons of all time. Played them as a kid, just loved them. In the comments down below, what's one of the favorite sets of irons you've played through your life? Is it the ones you game now? Let me know in those comments down below. I'll be interested to hear. Should we start with the TP9? Got a bit of a ferrule issue on this one, but the head is glued on, don't worry. Both clubs are the same length, matched in shaft pretty much, obviously older to new. Let's see how they feel different. Oh, how it feels. Oh, back to my youth, that is. Feels fine, feels good. Well, we're going to switch between, I'm going to guess, because I've hit those Mizuno Pros recently in a review. If you haven't seen that review, maybe I'll put a link down below if I ever remember to do that. Or you could just search Mark Crossfield Mizuno 221s if you want to watch that. I feel like this is not as soft feeling as the modern one. Oh, that feels good though. Feels really true. Does that make sense? Like what happens comes out. Feels reliable, true and nice. And it looks good. Like it looks old fashioned. It looks, but it only looks old because I remember clubs looking like this. If this was the first time you picked it up and it was all shiny and new, you might think it looked different and new. We're actually near a 160 distance with these, and I'll tell you what clubs we're hitting as we go on, but we're trying to hit certain distances. That feels solid, like the good old days. Not that the days aren't good now, I think they're pretty good still now. So let's see how the 221 feels in comparison, the modern blade. It's definitely a different look, it's more rounded at the top. I don't know what's better looking, that would be up to you to decide. Obviously I've got an emotional attachment to the other ones. Yeah, oh, not much in the feel. I would say, I mean, I know they've worked so hard on the acoustics of this, where I feel like the old one, maybe it was more just what the acoustics were, what they were. This one does feel like the sound of it is exactly where we want it to be. Like, so if you did a poll of people, where do you want this club to sound? This is it. So they're going to make it sound the way the consumer wants it to sound. I'd love to know in the comments from the close-ups, which one do you prefer the look of? Because I'm struggling. Like this looks more refined, but again, what does that actually mean? It just looks, it looks smaller as well a little bit because of the shaving off, even though the face size, when you put them together, like there's nothing in it. But it looks a little smaller because it's refined. This one looks bigger, and it's a lot to do with the fact this is a big bit of toe up here. If I had to give it on feel, I would go a fraction more with the new. If I had to go on looks, it's hard to choose because of my emotional attachment to how the old one looks. So we're going to move to a different lofted club now. So we're going to go further on to the second longer distance just to go through the lofts. Again, it's the same looks that cross over. So in the sharpness, the Mizuno looks sharper in the TP9, so thinner on top, again not as curved off at the top. But what's interesting as we get to the longer irons, if anything now the head sizes look similar, and maybe the modern one looks down by the ball fraction bigger, just a fraction. The older one has less of a toe pad, so the grooves are more across the face. The newer one has a bigger curved toe pad, so no grooves on, which is quite interesting. So TP9 to start. I mean, it looks very slender down by the ball for the loft I'm looking at. It looks like your most aggressive modern blade. That's just a nice shot and it feels fantastic. So we're up to nearly 190 yards with this club. We'll talk about what club's doing what when we look at the numbers. You could guess what clubs am I hitting in the two clubs to get them this like 160 to 190-ish distance. Down there, let me know what do you think I'm hitting in the old to the new. Call that last one a bit toey, but it performed fine. The old feels lighter. It feels like wispy down by the ball, where the new one definitely feels more substantial down by the ball. I've not swing weighted or physically weighted these two clubs. It'd be interesting what the difference is. It definitely feels lighter in the older one. Like first thing when I picked it up, it was like, oh, that feels like a feather. Which I have no problem with because I respond quite well to light stuff. And again, that's a ripper out there. Loving that. Yeah, it just looks really slender. I think lots of people looking at this club in a modern era of what's out there would go, that's just too thin. Where in the modern blade, it's almost like they've come slightly back towards that middle group of irons, isn't it? See, I definitely feel in this lofted iron, so when we're hitting it out 180, 190, it's a nicer sound in the modern one. So I think in the modern one they're moving, if you've got blade here and you've got super game improvement here with your stops, I just feel like the modern blade has gone back. It's gone, I don't mean that negatively, it's just gone back to fit into a different group because I just don't think people want, and it's harder to sell this now, like, because it just is not what people want to see. They want confidence. If that actually plays out or not is a different story. But people won't buy what people don't want. And club manufacturers have to work with your decisions too. Yeah, I would absolutely, definitely in the lower lofted, the modern one feels better. The sound is nicer. I would say it's more buttery. All right, one more, and I've got a bigger data set than this to show you. What we'll do is do a little game as well, because I can't wait to have a go with that one iron. How far or how short do you reckon I'll hit that one iron? Oh, it's not much in that, but yeah, sounds better in the newer one. So here's the numbers with the 156, the 156 carry. This is fantastic. Ball speed's the same, launch angle's the same, spin with the standard deviations almost the same. You can see slightly tighter standard deviation in the TP9, but there's nothing in it. Side angle pretty much the same, a little few leaks with the TP9. Exactly the same carry and the predicted roll. That is quite funny. That's just the same club, isn't it? It's so identical, it's brilliant. Come on, in the comments, I've got the two clubs here. In the old club to the modern club, am I hitting the same numbers on the bottom? Am I hitting two different, one different? What do you reckon down there? Because you can see here, I'm delivering pretty much the same loft, 0.3 in it, and I'm delivering the same club head speed, and the strikes are almost identical. Like, that's robot testing. Go on. What do you reckon down there? While you're down there, hit the thumbs up button if you like these fun tests. Remember to hit the thumbs up button, subscribe, and if you're subscribed already, ring that bell. I get a few people still saying, oh, I missed that video. Ring the bell, you won't miss the next fun test. Ready? Boom. As you would have probably guessed, the modern one I'm hitting an 8 and the old one I'm hitting a 7. So to match these up, I've got to literally just change loft. So what does that mean? I mean, it can mean whatever you want it to mean to get those numbers, but basically, loft for loft, they're very much the same. You could say that's testament to what they've done to the new blade to make it perform better. It fits in, you know, to get the same launches, everything. They've matched everything to the older one, but it's stronger. or we're just stamping different numbers on the bottom and the other ends of the sets have changed. What do you reckon? I mean, they're just two good performing clubs there. I would say the modern one feels better. We're talking blades here, so we're like not moving the needle much, and a lot of it is the sound and the shaping. And remember, it's not an advert to say you should go out and buy TP9s, because I've got ones with the ferrule all loose. I had to change the loft of the length of them. The chroming's coming off on this. Like, I would be buying the new set if I'm looking at a new set, but not much difference there, isn't it? And an interesting one for some people who comment on what people hit into greens these days. These are two blades. I reckon I'm hitting a wedge or a 9-iron to keep up with the 7-iron of this old set. When people say they want more club into greens, it says on them, what does that mean? Do you want them to deliver different lofts? Like, it's just, they're not the same clubs. What's printed on the bottom nowadays, as we know, is different. Let's look at the longer shot. So it's the same pattern with the longer. I'm hitting a 6 in the modern and a 5 in the older. And what's quite interesting is you can see it's crossing a bit more into natural now. So obviously my variation increases. The ball speed with the 6 is slower than it was with the 5, even though the launch angle was the same. The spin was very similar. And then you've got, you know, a bit more of a noticeable difference in distance. So you're starting to actually bleed, you know, as we go into the straighter faces. They're almost getting closer, but obviously as well as we go into straighter face clubs, my variations get bigger. Which, if you look at the two circles, yes, the 5-iron is going on further, but I would need to hit a lot more shots to confirm, because there's plenty of overlap here, meaning that these could both work. But I would definitely need to check that in the long term. When we get into the longer irons, I mean, again, they're just getting a little bit closer to their true loft, so it should be almost 6 to 6, but I think all that will happen is it will flip them around. It's a half a club difference rather than a whole club difference, maybe. It's got to be done, isn't it? It's fun time. It's a 1-iron in the old blade. Let's push ourselves to the limit. Like, this is me at my limit. We're 231 yards out. St Andrews old school club. It's a classic old school, old course challenge. 1-irons around here, such a common thread still now. You go to the open, what's the bag change? People put a long iron in instead of the hybrid and the driving irons. Shall we? Can I hit this green with this 1-iron? What do you reckon in the comments down below? We're 231 out. Oh, I've hit that nice. I've pulled it a little bit at the flag. That isn't going to get over that. Oh, that was a good effort. So I would bail out to the right. I'm just going to try and hit a couple more. Do you reckon I can get over that bunker with this club? It was a 215 carry. I need to give it a bit more. I'll go just left of it and could work. Yeah, look, that's way short. So interesting, isn't it? And there's the two strikes. As soon as you go high on the face with an iron at this speed, it's like any club, but this, it's just, that's coming up so much shorter. Like, it's noticeable difference in its performance. And that didn't feel crazy difference in strike. One more go at the pin. Yeah, I've bailed accidentally. Yes, you can see I'm really pushing to get over that bunker. That's how you would play it. So that's 3 of me going at the pin. So this is now the club I would be using in the modern era. We're now at a hybrid, a 3+ hybrid, and it's a big headed hybrid at that. So let's see if I go at the pin with this club, if it's doable. Oh, I bet that's so bad. Like, if I hit that bad, okay, it's the best shot. Yes, there you go, peoples. Oh, and there's the toey pulley one, and that's an interesting change as well. Look how much further that is, because it's got roll and bulge on it, it's got centre of gravity further back, so you get that low spin bomb. So that's now the furthest one away. And this is where I think so much of this is into interpretation. Obviously the 1-iron is giving me less options. Even if I do get over that bunker, I wouldn't imagine it would stop where this one allows me to take shots on. But as you can see there, if any of you saw my Can I Find MOI in clubs video, if you haven't, again, maybe I'll put a link in, so you should go and check it out. It's a really good video trying to discover how friendly clubs are and what are the trade-offs to make it friendly. The 1-iron miss it and that one miss it. Like, you can totally see the trade-offs there, can't you? Long and left, it's my furthest away, where the 1-iron was slightly tighter, even though there was mishits in there. So like with anything in golf, it's a real balance, isn't it? You're winning and you're losing. There's no answer. Well, the answer all lies in you, I'm afraid. There we go. That's going to carry. Is it? Yeah, comfortably. I mean, that's a career shot and it's stopping. Like, I don't think I can take that on with a 1-iron. But I'm gonna. 3 more. Can I hit a shot like that with a 1-iron? What do you reckon? Come on, be better, Mark. And this is one of the big differences, and I think it's really interesting because I don't see it as a big difference where lots of people do. As in, I had that hybrid as a younger player. I had a 5-wood. We had Corey Paven on our podcast, the Hack It Out Golf podcast. If you don't listen to that already, if you like podcasts, check it out. It's myself and Lou Stagner, who's a stat guy. We have great tests. I mean, we have Corey Paven on as a guest, major winner, and he's telling me about his forward shot in 1995 or 85 or whatever you think it's 95 when he wins the US Open. You know, it bounces short and rolls up on the green. Like, those clubs existed. They were just called different things back those days. Right, can I? 3 more. Can I carry the bunker with the 1-iron? Not with that strike, I can't. Like, I know I can, but I'm going to have to get 1 in a million. Look at that. Oh, no, that's one of those embarrassing. Getting a bit high-toe-y. Just nothing happening. I prefer the hybrid high-toe because at least I'm chipping nowhere near that bunker. Because I used to know people who gamed these clubs, you know, and you had famous players like Sandy Lyle of the time was gamed. He was a 1-iron off the tee sometimes, which was really romantic. But I just played 5-wood. So you set your club up, even in those days, to your strengths. Getting people to hit these again, well, they just won't hit them. They'll go to fairway, lofted fairway woods. Oh, see, this is the high toe for me is not my friend. That's going to work. It's an impossible putt. Oh, it's not. It's in the worst place you could miss it now. Right, last one. 1-iron. Strike it. Come on. Oh, God, I can't stop getting it high on the face. That's just not a shot there. I'm going to have one more go. I've ripped it, but I've pulled it. Like, I've hit that really good, but I've just turned it. One more. Here we go. It's a little right. Go! Oh, get round it. Oh, what a shot. Corey Paven, watch that one. That's how you do it on the 17th indoors in the simulator where it doesn't really matter. I love a good old V-Nude. Let me know what you're thinking. If there's other clubs you want me to test classics of their time. I did this with the Ping i2s compared to modern Pings. You've got to remember, like the TP9s and 11s and 5s, I think it was, these were like classics of their time. I think they were in cycle for years, you know, where clubs change now every like 18 months. Don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure this was out for like silly amount of years that they just kept bringing, you know, because people wanted this club. They didn't change like they do nowadays, which I think is quite an interesting business model personally. Is the new blade much better? Well, it's pretty much the same apart from the lofts. I think it sounds better. I think it's more refined in its looks. And if you hit a lot of shots, you might find some difference in performance from different parts of the face. I would guess that you would find marginal differences when you hit slightly higher on the face with the modern to the old, but you would have to hit so many shots to actually find that. You might not ever find it in the amount of shots you hit with a medium iron when you play golf with this set of clubs for 5 years. It might not even come out. If you think about how many shots, if I have to hit 1,000 shots with each of these to find a statistical difference, well, would you ever find that in a course or on a course? How many shots, you know, to get to 1,000 iron shots in amongst all the shots you play on the course? I mean, you just got a classic. It's a classic. Who remembers that, eh? That is a classic. Just really good blades. I would definitely buy the new, not the old, but I love having the old there. Thanks for watching. As always, post comments down below. What do you think of that? It was a lot of fun, and like, who wants to have a go with that 1-iron? That's a tough club to hit, isn't it?